activities. Our next speaker is a former county employee, no booing, and he's been around for a while, and this is Rob Brown, and he's going to be talking to us about more issues of water.
Thanks, Carol. Yeah, my name's Rob Brown. I've been a Manatee County resident since 1980. Actually, a Mayaca resident since 1986. And I worked for Manatee County for 34 years, starting in the original pollution control department, and retired in 2022 as the vision manager for environmental management in resources. One simple picture I wanted to show you is everybody saying, hey, the development's not having an issue with our water flow. The hydraulic is very simple. Top left, natural ground cover. Your farms, your pastures, your open lands, okay? What you see there, normally you're gonna have 40% evapotranspiration. Look at those black lines. You've got 25% going into the deep aquifer, which how many's on a well out here? Okay. And 25% going to the shallow aquifer. Only 10% runoff. So most of our lands, most of our pastures, most of our open land can handle quite a bit of rainfall. You move on to, 10 to 20% impervious. Let's go all the way over to the bottom right. 75 to 100% impervious area. The impervious is roads, buildings, compacted soils, where the water can't permeate. So what do we have? Still have the evaporation, because that water's still on the surface, about 30%, but we only have 10% going to the shallow infiltration, and only 5% going into the deep aquifer. But look at what we have going off, 55% runoff. So again, it's not rocket science, okay? When you develop, when you create impervious areas, we're going to get runoff. But we got to figure out how to manage that. Okay, there's really only two things I want to talk to you about. I talked to Stacy yesterday, was what can we do going forward? It's all doom and gloom, and what can we do? Well, the things that I tried to do numerous times when I was at the county, but the political will wasn't there to do that. One is, and you heard, the stormwater design criteria. They're ancient. We know they're ancient. They were done in the 1980s. This is a stormwater design manual that is actually on the website right now. It says it was adopted June 2015. But what happened was, prior to that, we had a contract with a consultant to revise the stormwater design criteria to include green infrastructure, to include bioswales, to include all of these neat things that would keep flooding at bay. But we were working with Pinellas County. Simultaneously, Manatee County quit. They decided not to go forward with it because Manatee County had to implement these things as well. Now, if you look, and so what they did was take what was in our land development code, which is right underneath our comprehensive plan. They took the stormwater design criteria and put it in a design manual and put it under public works. These are the references for the design criteria. I don't see anything in this century. 1988, 1989, 1958, 1969, 1977. Those are the criteria, standards that are being used current in the design manual. So that's one thing we need to do, is to go forward and do something. If you have a chance to look at Pinellas County's stormwater design manual, do it. It's wonderful, it's beautiful. They adopted theirs in 2017, they updated it in 2021, and they just updated it again this year. That's what these manuals are supposed to be. They're supposed to be living documents that as things change, as circumstances change, as hydrology changes, we're supposed to be updated. We're not doing it. Okay, that's one thing I tried to do. Oh, and how I know it's still in the 80s, this was probably done in 88 or 89, under the environmental requirements, it says water quality established by the state of Florida, Florida Administrative Code 1725, that's probably 30 years ago, they're all 62 series now, but they are required to, water quality treatment should be reviewed jointly by the Manatee County Public Works and Pollution Control Department. We haven't been pollution control for over 30 years. Okay, there is no pollution control department. So again, there have not been the updates that should occur. We know how to do it. Like I said, Pinellas, we were on the same track with them. I wish we'd have kept going, but the political will wasn't there to do that. Okay. The other thing I want to talk to you about of how moving forward, it's kind of something that you may not want to hear, but what you heard from Mr. Barfield was that we don't have the money to do the studies, right? They should have been done. Each basin should have been evaluated. Each basin should have a plan going forward. Where can we develop? Where do we need to preserve? Where are the wetlands? Okay? Tried it 4 times. Last time, how many were around here in 2018, 2019? A lot of people. Do you guys remember the stormwater utility workshops? Yeah? We were this close of getting it approved. But let me just read again, stormwater utility is not a tax. That's what everybody, it's a tax. Those in Mayaca, we don't pay for water and wastewater. We have septic and wells. But in town, you have sewer, you pay for water, you pay for solid waste. All of those things are utilities. Stormwater is no different. We have to have the money, or the county has to have the money to be able to do the studies, do the maintenance, and do the planning. And again, the idea is a little bit of money from everybody instead of a lot of money for a few people, especially those ones that got flooded out. Okay, that's what we need to do. And again, this study pretty much is done. It could be just brushed off and updated, but it says the purpose of the Manatee County Stormwater Management System is to regulate, operate, and manage stormwater runoff within unincorporated areas of the county, including maintaining, planning for, and constructing stormwater facilities. The county does not have a dedicated rate to provide revenues for funding stormwater management costs. Instead, the counties are funding its stormwater. We were robbing from solid waste. So your solid waste funds, we were using that for stormwater. The one stormwater plan that was done for Mill Creek, I did that in 2015. It took me 5 years to ask the board for enough money to match Water Management District to be able to do the study. Of course, 5 years just to get it, got it done in about 2 years. And again, these management plans, we need to get going on them because they take a couple of years to do that. Okay? If we'd adopted this back in 2019, when it was first done, actually, the draft report was November 2020, and we know what happened in 2020. Besides COVID, the board wasn't willing to do that. We could have had a couple of those studies already well underway, and a lot of the maintenance proposed in there could have been done. But again, without the funding source, again, it's not going to happen. So I know nobody wants to pay any more money, taxes, but like I said, it's not a whole lot of money. What you pay for is basically you pay a fee on your impervious area. If you have a house in a driveway, that's what you're paying the fee on. Okay? And it goes in the pot. The argument was big commercial facilities were having a lot of money. So, they're causing a lot of the problems. So that's two of the things that, we need to move forward on. And it can go a long way to address the problems in the future. I'm sorry we can't go back and retrofit a lot of these things. Some of them you can. The idea, though, is that, as Abby was talking about, and happened to be a happy and dedicated board member for Suncoast Waterkeepers, we've got to protect those wetlands, we've got to protect the stream corridors, we've got to protect all those riparian stream courses, creeks, tributaries, everything. That was one of the things we're pushing for. We got to protect those. And if we can't, the developer's going to build right up next to it. And then there's nowhere to fix things. If we don't have those stream corridors, there's nowhere to fix the problem, because that's where it ends up. Final thing I want to talk about is, what can we do? Our comp plan. I was there in 1989 when we did the first comp plan. It wasn't perfect, but it was a lot better than it is now. And there are things that we can move forward to do. And one of the things that everybody's, how did that moving the FDAP happen? Okay, how did it happen? You saw the future land use map. We had that red line. For years it was a no-go. You don't go over there. We don't have the utility studies done for water, sewer, drainage. None of those were done. And in the comp plan, or in the under 163, it requires for concurrency. Concurrency means you have to have the capacity to be able to move forward with these developments. Now, 163, if you read it today versus when probably in the late 80s under the Growth Management Act, it was great. It was wonderful. We had development of regional impact, DRIs. Lakewood Ranch is the DRI. Everybody got to look at those plans. Transportation, schools, fire, all the environment. Everybody got to look at those things. And everybody got to comment on those things. Back in 2008, we had a downturn. Governor Child's group kind of eased off on some of those standards. And then when Rick Scott got in here, pretty much demolished it. It's all gone. So 163 doesn't look like it did then. But it still has a concept of concurrence. It says sanitary sewer, like I said, building things where we have capacity. Sanitary sewer, solid waste, drainage, and potable water are the only public facilities and services subject to concurrency requirement on a statewide basis. Okay? They should have considered all of that when they approved the development outside of the FDAP. But comp plan, we can change it and we can go back the other way, okay? Because it also says, however, any local government may extend concurrency requirements so that it applies to additional public facilities within its jurisdiction. So that's my recommendation, is we strengthen the concurrency requirement and say, if we don't have, basically took out roads and schools, but if we don't have the public infrastructure there to support that development, you shouldn't be approving that development, okay? Make sure it's there. So there are things we can do in the comp plan, there's these manuals, all kinds of things that we can do. So hopefully, we're heading in the right direction with the local government. What I want to remind you too is don't forget the state representatives. They're the ones that are changing 163. They're the ones that are changing, the rule that doesn't allow public citizens to challenge these permits, or they're going to charge you out the gazoo, okay? So state legislators, from the governor all the way down, we need to have a change, okay? So thank you very much and appreciate it.